Do you know how to clear a pistol malfunction? I'll show you how I do it in this episode of Tactical Tidbits. Friends, please like, share, comment, subscribe in whatever format you're watching this on so you can help me in my mission to help good people be safer. All right, today I want to go over pistol malfunctions or stoppages. Now, if you're a shooter and you've taken even a minimal amount of training, you've probably seen and performed remedial actions for type 1, 2, and 3 malfunctions at some point. But what I'm going to show you today will look very similar except for a couple of details that can make you a little more effective and a little more efficient in clearing pistol malfunctions. Now, the key to this and many other aspects of personal defense training is to look for options that are compliant with Hicks Law, which loosely states that reaction time increases with every option provided. In other words, the fastest reaction time can only occur when we have just one option. Now, allow me to show you how this applies to resolving malfunctions. Let's start with type 1 malfunction, or failure to fire. This is when we get complete and normal operation of the trigger and striker or hammer and no bang. The most common culprit for a type 1 is a magazine that did not seat fully. So when the slide went into battery, it did not feed around into the chamber. Another possible culprit, and one that is not very common anymore due to improvements in ammo manufacturing, is a bad primer. You could also have a broken striker or internal component resulting in light primer strikes, but at that point remedial action will not help you at all. Now in a type 1, all we really need to do is to make sure the magazine is seated properly and rack around into the chamber. Or in the case of a bad primer, rack the bad round out and a new round in. In any case, this is where we get tap, rack, bang, or reassess. However, note that while I do my tap rack and I bring the pistol parallel to the ground, ejection port down. And as you'll see, this will assist us with the other malfunctions. So now let's look at type 2s. A type 2 malfunction, or failure to eject, is when a fired case does not fully eject and gets trapped by the slide. If we perform the same remedial action as we did for a type 1, we will clear it just the same. So we will be compliant with Hicks Law. Now, people used to teach a technique where you run the knife edge of your support hand fast and hard along the slide to knock the case out of the ejection port, except that a lot of people would bring their hand way too close to the muzzle or right in front of the muzzle, or get their hands pinched by the slide as it went into battery. Also, in instances when the case is barely sticking out, there is not enough contact with the hand to be able to push it out with that technique. And thankfully, the same thing that works with type 1s works just as well with type 2s. Having the ejection port facing the ground further allows gravity to help clear the blockage. All right, so moving on to type 3s, also known as double feeds. That's when you have two rounds trying to get into the chamber. Here's where I see a lot of confusion and misinformation. The traditional manual of arms has always been the same for rifles as with pistols. Lock slide back, remove the source of ammunition, digitally check the chamber and the mag well, rack, insert magazine, rack, reassess. And as you can see, there's a lot to remember and very time consuming. And you should know how to perform it. However, you only need it in the event that the tap rack, as we did for type 1s and type 2s, does not work. The reality is that for most pistols, especially the ones that people carry the most, the ejection port is very small and completely open compared to rifles, so it's a very different situation. 9 times out of 10 in pistols, the same remedial action will work on all 3 types of malfunctions, especially if you perform it the way that I just described. That means that we can be that much faster in clearing stoppages since we only need to learn one method, thus being in compliance with Hicks Law. All right, I hope you found this helpful. If you want to learn about these concepts and a lot more, I invite you to join us in a class. Check out our class schedule at alpha1tactical.com, and I'd love to meet you in person. Until next time.